Hey everyone, it's Robin with the Dirtbags with Fur Bags, and today I'm going to show you how to wire a 40 amp DC to DC charger from Renogy. If you have a 20 or 60 amp charger from Renogy, this video will still be useful, but you may need to tweak the wire size or some of the other components like the circuit breakers. Before we start, I want to clarify that I'm not an electrician or professional. I just watched a ton of YouTube videos like this one and read the manual. I've been traveling with my DC to DC charger for a year and a half now, and nothing's caught on fire, so I think I did a pretty good job. To start things off, this is an oversimplified diagram of how a DC to DC charger works. Basically, it pulls power from your vehicle's alternator, which puts out power at 12 volts. It converts that power into a higher voltage and then sends the higher voltage power to your van's house batteries to charge them. A DC to DC charger is a great addition to your van's power supply and works great in tandem with solar, but it can also be used as a standalone way to charge your van's batteries. Just be aware that it only charges your house batteries while the vehicle is on, which is why it's a good idea to have 2 or more sources of power to charge your house batteries, such as using solar and shore power, or solar and a DC to DC charger, which is what we use. First, let's go over the tools you'll need to wire your DC to DC charger. You'll need wire crimpers and strippers that range from 18 gauge to 4 gauge. This probably means you'll need 2 sets because they don't normally come in that wide of a range. You'll also need wire cutters, a screwdriver, a voltmeter, a few circuit breakers and A&L fuses, a bunch of lugs, shrink wrap, a heat gun, and optionally you may want to install a switch to manually turn your DC to DC charger off, which I'll go into more detail a little bit later. Lastly, you of course need wire, but the size of the wire will depend on the distance your DC to DC charger is from your vehicle battery and your house batteries. Again, I'll go over that in more detail a little later. You can check the description for a link to the products we use to install our DC to DC charger, as well as a link to the Renogy 40 amp charger. Now, the size of the wire, inline fuse, and circuit breakers will depend on where you install your DC to DC charger, which is what I'll cover next. When picking a location for your charger, you should ideally place it as close to your house batteries as possible. This reduces power drop, giving your house batteries as much juice as possible from the charger. We decided to install our charger right behind the driver's seat, which isn't as close as we'd like to our house batteries, but it worked for our setup. You can install the charger vertically or horizontally, but it must have good airflow on all sides. You'll also want to install an access panel to easily get to the charger if you need to fix or replace something. Once you have a location picked out and have the charger mounted properly, it's time to start wiring. To understand what wire size you need, let's take a look at the manual. For a 40 amp charger, you'll need a 6 gauge wire if the charger is located 10 feet or less from the vehicle batteries. If it's located 11 to 30 feet from the vehicle batteries, you'll need a 4 gauge wire. This measurement is based on how long the wire will be from the vehicle batteries to the charger, not the distance as the crow flies. Once you have the correct wire size, the next step is to wire the vehicle battery to the charger. We'll start with the positive wire. First, make sure your vehicle is off and all other sources of power to the battery are shut off. Then, find an open terminal on the vehicle battery's positive side that doesn't have any other wires or fuses attached. Measure the terminal so you know what size lug you need. Ours turned out to be 6 by 1/4. Strip one end of your wire and attach it to a lug using shrink wrap and a heat gun. Then, secure the lug onto the empty terminal with a washer and nut to ensure a good connection. Next, you'll want to run the positive wire through an inline fuse. This isn't required by the Renogy manual, but it's an extra fall-safe that we felt was a good idea. After the inline fuse, we have another circuit breaker that acts as double security. Call it overkill, but we're not professionals, so we'd rather be safe than sorry. We attached our inline fuse to a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and set it down right on top of the van battery, making sure no wires were touching bare metal and making sure the plywood was securely in place so it wouldn't tug on the wires. Go ahead and snip the positive wire with wire cutters and strip the end. Attach a lug and shrink wrap for a secure connection, and then attach the lug to the inline fuse with a washer and nut. Next, we'll run a positive wire from the other end of the inline fuse to the next circuit breaker. So, strip back an end of the wire and attach it to a lug using wire crimpers and shrink wrap. Attach that lug to the other side of the inline fuse with a washer and nut. Then, run the positive wire to the first circuit breaker in a way that ensures the wires are secure and won't be damaged while driving or walking around. The Renogy manual tells us that the circuit breaker from the vehicle batteries to the DC to DC charger should be 60 amps. Check the circuit breaker and look for the words aux and bat. You'll want to run the positive wire from the inline fuse to the bat side of the circuit breaker because this is where power is coming in. As before, cut the wire at the correct length, strip it back, and attach a lug using crimpers and shrink wrap. Then, attach the lug to the bat side of the 60 amp circuit breaker. Next, we'll connect the positive wire from the other side of the circuit breaker to the DC to DC charger. Start by stripping back an end of your wire and attaching a lug. Connect the lug to the aux side of the circuit breaker. This stands for auxiliary and is where power leaves the circuit breaker to its next destination. Measure the next length of wire so that it can reach the positive input side of the DC to DC charger. Cut the wire, strip it back, and attach the correct size lug. Then, use a Phillips to loosen the screw that holds the wire in place. Place the lug in the correct position and screw the fastener back down until you feel there's a secure connection. Be careful not to over-tighten this screw. That's it for the positive side for now. Let's head back to the vehicle battery and connect the negative wire. It's way less complicated than the positive. Once again, look at your vehicle's battery and locate an empty negative terminal that doesn't have other wires or fuses attached. Strip back a piece of wire and attach a lug to it using crimpers and shrink wrap. Then, secure the lug to an open terminal with a washer and nut. By the way, the size of your negative wire should be the same as your positive. So if you use 6 gauge for the positive, use 6 gauge for the negative. Run the negative wire from the vehicle battery to the negative input side of the DC to DC, which is located directly under where the positive wire went in. Once again, cut the wire, strip it back, and attach a lug. Loosen the screw on the charger and place the lug over the terminal. Tighten the screw back down until the connection feels secure. That's it. Next, we'll move on to running the positive wire from the DC to DC charger to your house batteries. I don't recommend wiring your charger directly onto the house batteries. Instead, you'll want to use a bus bar that will manage multiple sources of power in your van, but I'll go over that in detail a little bit later. For now, let's figure out what size wire we need for this section. If your house batteries are 10 feet or less from your DC to DC charger, use 8 gauge wire. If the charger is 11 to 20 feet, use 6 or 8 gauge wire. Finally, if your charger is more than 20 feet from your house batteries, use 4 gauge wire. Our charger was less than 10 feet from our house batteries, but we ended up using 6 gauge wire instead of 8 gauge because we had it on hand. For those of you that don't know a lot about wire sizes, like how I was before I started my Vanlife build, you can always size up the wire, meaning a lower number, like using 6 gauge in place of 8 gauge, or using 12 gauge in place of 14 gauge, but never size down, such as going from 6 gauge to 8 gauge, aka a bigger wire to a smaller wire. Now that you have the correct size wire, let's start again with the positive wire. Strip it back and attach a lug. Loosen the screw on the positive output side of the DC to DC charger, attach the lug, and tighten the screw for a secure connection. Next, we'll run the positive wire to another circuit breaker. We can refer back to the manual to see that we need a 50 amp circuit breaker on the output side of the charger. Run the positive wire from the output side of the charger to the bat side of the 50 amp circuit breaker. Cut the wire, strip it back, and attach a lug. This type of circuit breaker came with a fastener that held the lug in place, but you may have a different kind of breaker. Attach the lug to the breaker in a way that makes a secure connection. Next, we'll attach a positive wire to the aux side of the 50 amp circuit breaker. As before, strip the wire and attach a lug, then attach the lug to the circuit breaker. The final step for the positive wire is to run it from the aux side of the circuit breaker to your positive bus bar. To do this, snake the wire behind your walls until it reaches the bus bar. Cut the wire, strip it back, and attach a lug. Then, attach that lug to an open terminal on your positive bus bar and use a washer and nut to secure the lug to the bus bar. Now for the negative wire, which is super easy. Strip one end of the negative wire and attach the appropriate size lug. Connect the lug to the negative output side of the charger, which is located below the positive output terminal. Tighten the screw to make a secure connection. Then, you just need to run the negative wire to your negative bus bar. Cut the wire at the appropriate length, strip it back, and attach a lug. Connect the lug to the bus bar with a washer and nut. That's it. Unfortunately, we're not quite done yet. There's one more complicated wire that has to be run in a few settings before your DC to DC charger is up and running. I'll go over the D+ ignition cable next. This kind of baffled me for a while because I couldn't find any information about it online, but with some research and phone calls to Renogy, I figured it out. The D+ ignition cable should be 18 to 16 gauge wire. We used 14 gauge because it was what we had on hand, which again is okay because we sized to a larger wire. Check out the output side of your DC to DC charger, and you'll see a small green block with two openings. One will say D+. This is where the wire will go for the D+ ignition cable. The other one says LC and stands for current limiting. We didn't install the current limiting wire, which only needs installed if you want to limit the current output from your alternator, which helps protect older batteries but lowers the power output. It's an optional feature, so think about your specific vehicle's needs. In our case, we didn't need it. To install the D+ ignition cable, start by stripping back your 16 to 18 gauge wire, or whatever you have on hand, as long as it's that size or larger. Then use a small flathead to turn the terminal on the charger counterclockwise, lefty-loosey, to loosen the terminal. Then insert the bare wire and hold it in place while you use the flathead to tighten the connection. You'll feel the terminal grab onto the wire. Make sure not to over-tighten the screw. Give the wire a tug to make sure it's fully ensnared with a good connection. Next, run the cable up to the dash of your vehicle in a way where it won't get crushed or damaged while driving or moving around. The other end of the wire needs to be connected to something in your vehicle's dash that only comes on when the vehicle gets turned on. It's recommended to connect this cable to the DC ignition circuit of the input starter battery. Yeah, I had no idea what that meant either, because I know nothing about vehicles. But here's a cheat we found out from drudging through YouTube videos and Reddit forums. An easy place to attach your ignition cable is to a charger outlet in your vehicle, such as where you'd plug in your phone's charger cable. It might be a USB, USB-C, or even a cigarette lighter. These type of outlets usually don't turn on until the vehicle is turned on, so that it doesn't drain your vehicle's battery. That said, you'll want to make sure by utilizing a voltmeter. We attached ours to our 12-volt outlet, or a cigarette lighter if you were born in the 90s or earlier. To check if it's a good match for your D+ ignition cable, use a voltmeter to test the voltage before turning the van on. You want something that has no power while the van is off. Then, turn the van on and measure the voltage to make sure it gets power. If you checked off those two boxes, it's a good match. The next step involves a little splicing. We use these nifty connectors to make things easy. They're called WAGO connectors, and we got them from Home Depot. Super cheap and really useful. As you can see, you'll have to put two wires into one slot to splice them together. That way, when you turn the vehicle on, the D+ ignition cable receives power. The DC to DC charger will not work unless you connect the D+ ignition cable to something that gets power. This step is not optional like the current limiting wire. One thing to note is to make sure you don't connect the D+ ignition cable to something that always has power. Otherwise, your DC to DC charger is going to drain your vehicle batteries. An optional step here is to install a switch between the DC to DC charger and your D+ ignition cable power source. We installed one so that when our house batteries are at 100%, we could turn the switch off so that our vehicle batteries could get charged all the way up while driving. The final step is to set up your dip switches. These are located on the output side of your DC to DC charger, just above the slot for the D+ ignition cable. The dip switches help set up your DC to DC charger for the type of house batteries you have. They should either be lead acid or lithium. For our van setup, we have lithium batteries at voltage 14.4. Our dip switches were S1 was off, S2, 3, and 4 were on, and S5 was off. You can always use a voltmeter to figure out your battery's voltage. The only thing left to do is test your DC to DC charger. I highly recommend installing a battery monitor so you can see if the DC to DC charger is working. We purchased one from Renogy, and it's been a lifesaver when we want to know what percentage our house batteries are at. It's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a pretty good indication of your house battery percentage, and it has live readings for voltage and amperage. To test your DC to DC charger, fire up your vehicle and take a look at your battery monitor. If there's an increase in amps, then you know it's working. A 40 amp DC to DC charger should give you at least 20 amps of charging power or more, depending on what devices you're running off your house batteries at the time. Well, everybody, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video helped you install your DC to DC charger. Happy trails!